Hello! I'm Cliffside. My pronouns are they, them. And this is Cliffside Permaculture.
What are you doing up there, Crazy?
Hello! That sound you hear in the background is a cicada. Hopefully the wind won't be too bad. I'm out here with a piece of paper because it came to my attention that, you know, being at the top of the cliff is certainly not the only option that you might run yourself into. An individual by the name of Rose was chatting with me. Sorry, the ground is soft and I stepped near the tripod. Was chatting with me about a situation that her house is in, which is partway down a hill that has quite a bit of water issues. So I'm hoping that me drawing from my own perspective high isn't going to cause too much trouble. We're out here on the cliff. I got some water because I haven't drank enough water today yet. And I'm going to talk about a situation where it's something like this. And the water is coming down and filling the basement. Okay? So that's the basic theory that we're looking at here. And what can we do about this? So, kind of hoping that I can just use some rock, because I'm going to have to dispense this paper a few times. Let's say you've got that situation going on, right? Well, from the above view, here's your lot. Here's your house. That's the roof. It has a chimney, okay. And here's the water direction. Okay. I'll give you some stairs up the front. So, I'm going to refer you quickly to up in the, I think it'll be that corner, but you know, this is hard to remember directionally. I'm going to refer you quickly to my invisible pathway trenches. Okay? I would recommend this layout. Assuming that there's somewhere safe that the water can go at this point. So as a general diagram, let's pull this just a little bit further. What do I mean by that layout? Oh, I bumped you again. I'm so sorry. Here's your hill again. I'm just gonna put a 45 on it. And I'm gonna make this just the angle, and we're gonna make the surface of the ground like this, okay? So on this hill, you're gonna dig in a little bit and make a mound. That's this line. I would, especially depending on if you got a lot of water, put drain tile, which is a type of pipe that has holes in it, and then backfill this with wood chips, okay? You do need to plant plants like crazy here. I would start by putting a bunch of sticks in so that it will catch if it tries to overflow. You don't want to have this then making a mudslide, right? So those are bushes, cuttings. It's gonna be pretty wet here. So elderberry, various forms of willow. I would go with short ones so that the weight of it doesn't then pull the hill, or keep them short by coppicing, cutting them. You could do Goji's invasive, but it's edible. Hazelnut, and it's not too invasive. Mulberry, you can keep that short. You'd want to keep any tree short. Currants, gooseberries, that sort of thing here with a good root mass. Another thing that you can, and I would recommend to plant, is to plant the Joe Pye that I have is such a great absorber of water, and it creates such a mat of roots. So if anything around here is unstable, it's gonna fix that problem. So I'm gonna addendum this just a little bit. I would take this pipe on each end and have it actually exit out the mound at the end. So let's say this is in the distance, and then this pipe's gonna go like that inside the ground at some point, and then the water's gonna flow out, right? That's water, okay. We're not doing colors today. So on this same surface of a hill, the angle is just to keep me on track, okay? So now you've got this, and you got this pipe coming out. I'm gonna say dig a little dent here, and that's these little dashes, okay? And it's gonna bring the water around the house, right? This is gonna be where all those life is, and then on the front of each of these, it's gonna have to be a shape kind of like, so your pipe comes out here, the shape is kind of like this. And then you want plant life, heavy plant life, all around that. And then you don't need any more piping. This will just bring them down into another one. And it keeps the water from then flowing toward the house. It keeps it flowing past, okay? I would say this needs to be probably at least 10 feet. If that's not what you have to work with, fair. You could put some wood chips here. In each of these little troughs, you could bed this down with wood chips. That would, what that would help with would be keeping the weeds down so that it wouldn't then later disperse the water away from it, and again, you know, have it get out and get this way. We don't want that, okay? So what we have is water pressure coming this way, being diverted across the hill on a flat level with drain tile, which is what that type of pipe with holes in it is called, then being turned towards a step system where the water is going to be slowly stepped down with lots of life all along this. You want all kinds of shrubs. You could do, this is edible in the early spring if you boil it and then cook it. Never eat the berries and never eat it while it's trying to fruit. I'll put a corner video up again that's not my channel, but did an excellent job at describing pokeweed and poke salette and its historic context. Yeah, so the water would then flow in here. It would spread, but its overflow point would then flow to here. See what I mean? So this is if you want your house to not be getting flooded, this is what you need to consider. Now, the other thing you need to consider is to look at your downspouts. So here's your gutter, Here's your gutter. This works fine even if the gutter's here and there, because it's usually a downspout on corners, 2 corners typically. So maximum 3, right? So what we're looking at here is a lot of times the water comes out and then just goes right in to the basement, and then you got that flooded basement effect going again, right? And it's starting to buckle your walls and everything's moldy and yuck, 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 right? The easiest solution is to get a barrel, like a rain barrel, cut a spigot into the base. You can cut the appropriate diameter. I don't remember off the top of my head. Someone please put it in the comments, or if I find it first, I'll put it in the comments. You cut the appropriate diameter for a spigot, for a hose in the bottom, and you just screw that spigot directly into the plastic. It's malleable, it's going to make enough of a seal, it'll be good. And then you run the hose far away. So, here's your downspout, there's your hose. So you want the hose to go to one of the elements in this system. You can mound it over with wood chips, just so you don't have to deal with mowing around it or whatever. Also, if you keep this, and this is just an open barrel, it's not going to hold any water, it's just going to pull the water away. And your downspout, you just, instead of it going the whole way to the ground, because here's the ground, you're going to cut it and put one of this shape pointed towards it. That's a 45-degree elbow. And then the water will just pour in. And during a storm, it'll fill, but not overflow, because it's always going to be, this is a constantly open spigot. You could put just a pipe in there. You don't even need a shut-off valve, because what you're trying to do is get the water to spew into here, so that it's not right up against your house. That's what you're doing. So this is my recommended design for protecting your home from water coming down this way that is getting your basement all flooded up. Because yes, I have a cracked basement. I had to have a 3-sides French drain because I let it go. I didn't do anything. I didn't figure out what to do about it. I thought it would be too expensive. This stuff's as expensive as a shovel. The wood chips are free if you have chip drop in your area. It's expensive as a shovel, and if you have a really severe situation, then it's as expensive as 30 feet of drain tile pipe, which I don't think is more than $10 or $12 a strip. The strip's about 10 feet. So you could spend 30, 40 bucks and then just go clip branches off of a bunch of hedges in your area. Like I said, elderberry, it does great. Willows do great. You just stick them in. Alders do great. That, A-L-D-E-R. Sorry it's all sideways. Hopefully you can survive it being sideways for the informational purposes. Those, if you put them in a situation where it stays damp, occasionally if you get a really dry spell, water it. And you'll be able to have the plant life free. I got my Joe Pie, little tiny bitty thing, A friend of mine dug it up off the end of a corn row on a field in Canning. Hi, I'm from Pittsburgh. And you can do snake root. You can do pokeweed. Those, this time of year, it's currently not quite full, but this time of year, you're going to have these ripe berries. They are poisonous as all get out. Don't eat them. But when they're dark purple, they're ripe, and they will seed like crazy. And they'll sprout almost right away. And then they get, what, like 3-4 feet tall? They don't get huge. And yeah, they're toxic unless you cook them right. And they can get you real sick if you don't cook them right. But they are edible. Again, earlier in the video I put that up there. So you're gonna have these plants coming up out of each of these. My concern with this is don't take it too fast. So dig this section first, then dig this section, then dig this section, and get these plants established in front of the part that you planted. If you're putting in plants like willow, elder, what all else did I say? Pokeweed. This, alder, willow, elder, not pokeweed. Goji. You can even put, oh, why am I blanking on a word? That's annoying. There's so many. Anything that is good for cuttings, roots easily. You can put that stick in the ground. Let me redraw that actually. I'm gonna pull it a little further. You can put a stick in the ground in the fall, and now is a good time, and by spring it'll have roots. It'll have a few leaves. Okay? So you cut that leaf off at the base, and that is when you dig and put the dirt. Because then this soil's already stabilized, and this part's gonna grow more roots, because certain types of plants, and it's a very certain subset, they will root on their above ground parts. Some dogwoods, so red twig dogwood, osier dogwood, that's a native plant too. The berries aren't lovely, but you can eat them. They're not gonna hurt you anyway. There's a lot of plants like that you can plant them. Looking right at the plant, I can't think the name of. Oh, good golly. Yeah, so there's a bunch of them. There's really, really a lot. Sumac. There we go. That's the one I've been trying to think of. Those all root in this. Not this one doesn't. You would then take the pokeweed afterwards and put little seeds down here, because it's gonna sprout so fast. So, or you could be putting them here now. And so by spring you'd have this rooted plant and these rooted, and then you could do the cut of the ground. Put in your drain tile, and again that's this top part here. And you would not be at risk of landslide because you would have already done your homework. And you can save a few of these seeds and put them in for spring as well, or you could plant food crops there. Annuals. I highly recommend the perennials though. You could put in blackberries, raspberries, right there. There's just so many things you can do. So that is my advice about dealing with being downhill from flood state. I'm going to turn it so that you're looking at it the right way. Finally, with the diagrams. And I hope it's helpful. Thanks for the suggestion, Rose. And let me know if you want some plants if you're in the Pittsburgh area. Thanks so much for visiting my cliffside. This has been Permaculture designed for water management. And that's the sunset starting to hint the clouds. Take care. Bye.